Hey there, welcome to the level 3 workout for today is 5 rounds for time of 200 meter run, 20 alternating dumbbell snatches, 200 meter run, and 10 double dumbbell snatches. So it goes run, easy snatches, run, hard snatches. And the idea here is 5 rounds is kind of a lot of rounds, and ideally we get close to doing this whole thing unbroken. Meaning those double dumbbell snatches, if you pick the weight perfectly, you can get through 10 of them even on the 5th round, even though it's probably not gonna feel super awesome for you. I know it's not for me. And if you're just getting yourself tanked by running too hard or maybe feeling a little bit out of shape right now, then those could be 2 sets on like the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round, and that would be appropriate as well. Just not super long sets, maybe like set of 6 and 4 or 7 and 3 would be ideal. But make sure that technique is totally dialed in, and it should be a very explosive movement that you can do for those 10 repetitions. If you have any questions about it, let me know. Coach videos coming up next. Have fun.
For running, one of my favorites, you're gonna put yourself in a great postural position, chest up, shoulders back, feet underneath your hips. And what you're gonna be doing from here is you fall forward from your ankles and then pick up your feet as you need to because of the fall, rather than pushing yourself off. So gravity is actually moving us forward and we're catching it as much as we can. There's still gonna be a little bit of a push off just to get our feet into the right position, but it's amazing how much you can use gravity in order to move yourself forward quickly when you're running. So everything stays aligned as you're running. Your hamstrings are what you're gonna try and focus on to pull your feet up off the ground rather than trying to push yourself off of the ground. So think of pulling yourself here. And then what you're gonna be doing is also thinking of striking the ground and your midfoot, okay? So right about there, rather than a toe strike or a heel strike. And the heel strike is really one that you don't wanna do, even though we have these big heels on our shoes. What it does is actually slows us down every step, because if we're trying to fall forward and we're stepping like this, you can see that momentum is getting halted every single step if we're doing that. The other thing is that it puts a lot of stress on our joints. So we find that heel strikers have more injuries than people that are having a nice, solid, good strike. Then we're doing a really quick, fast turnover. So almost as fast as we can for a maintained period of time, because that's also been shown to have less impact on our bodies than taking really big strides. And it does make sense when you break it down with like how much weight and impact you're gonna have into the ground with a big stride versus a small stride. Then what we're gonna be doing is looking at our upper body. So we're gonna be acting kind of like a robot where we're trying to clean a big thick piece of glass, just like this. And that's because we're trying to go in a forward direction rather than if we have over rotation. You see how it turns our body? We're not trying to go in that direction, in that direction, in that direction. We're trying to go forward in forward direction. So there you have it. There's the running technique. If you have any questions about running, I'd love to answer them.
For a single arm dumbbell snatch, which could be with one arm or alternating arms, so sometimes they're going to be programmed to go straight through on one side, and sometimes you'll get to switch. I'll show you both versions. First things first, you're going to hinge it, or you're going to straddle the dumbbell. You're going to want to hinge at the hips by pressing your butt back, keeping the weight on your heels, toes slightly float, but you still want to have them touching the ground. Bend at your knees, leaning towards this dumbbell, keeping that back as flat as you can. I don't mean not avoiding twisting, you can twist, but it's that low back, that lumbar spine that you want to keep as flat as possible. Then from there, you're gonna drive through your heels to get to your knees and then jump the dumbbell up overhead. From here, you can swing it back down, touching both ends on the ground, keeping that back nice and flat, and then repeat to the 2nd or 3rd or 10th rep. Then if you're gonna switch in the air, you could go like this and do the same thing, but you're just switching the dumbbell in the air. The other option that you have is, you can see I'm bending my arm as I come to here, bend, and then pressing it out. You also have the option of keeping the arm relatively straight and swinging this dumbbell. It's pretty much a strategy thing, I would say. You're gonna go a little faster if you bend and press than if you swing, and it's gonna also depend on what kind of athlete you are. One of them will probably feel a little bit easier for you, but I would still recommend, if there's a low number, you go with the bend, keeping the dumbbell close to you, and press versus the swing. And if it's a larger number, maybe you try and vary between both of them so that you don't have to stop. If you guys have any questions, let me know.
For the double dumbbell snatches, you're going to take a position around straddling the weights.
You're gonna start off like a kettlebell swing where you pick up the weights and let them swing behind you, and then you thrust them up overhead. So the snatch is gonna be the weights touching both ends on the ground to start, and then you get all the way up to lockout position overhead with both dumbbells and one forceful movement pattern. So with this, I'm gonna get into my powerful position. It could be a little bit wider for you or a little bit narrower, depending on what feels right to you, but my knees are gonna be pointing in the direction of my toes. Weight's gonna be on my heels, because that's where I'm gonna drive through my heels for my hips, get my glutes and hamstrings engaged. And I'm gonna start off by trying to keep as flat a back as possible, because that's gonna transfer force better from my legs to my upper body. So here I go. I'm gonna swing these back behind me and then thrust them up overhead. And then back down. So you can see it's a lot like a kettlebell swing, but you're going to pull here or swing it depending on what you feel like is more comfortable for you. As you notice, for me, I feel like I have more comfort thrusting my hips and then bending my arms, so I have my arms a little bit more involved in that, mostly because of a range of motion issue or flexibility issue that I work on, and the strength of my upper body versus my lower body. So you're gonna be a little bit different. If it's heavier for you or heavier for me, I might try and jump it up a little bit more, but you'll also see as you get tired, you might swing here and then end up pressing it out a little bit more, and that's okay, as long as that dumbbell doesn't stop. So the most important thing is we're looking at keeping the back flat. If you can't keep the back flat for the dumbbells going all the way down to the ground, then what you're gonna do is just do a hang version and only go as low as you can while you keep your back flat. If you have any questions about this one at all, let me know. Have fun with it. Use a lighter weight than you probably think that you should. And yeah, that's the workout for today. If you have any questions, let me know. Log your scores and sugar and we'll see you on the next workout.